Welcome back. Now, every day I lose a little bit more faith in the human race. It's sad, really. Not this guy on screen. He's amazing. He's built his own flying device. But what if you're not capable of building something that does something so spectacular? Well, in today's world, it doesn't stop you putting a load of junk together and just claiming that you've done something special.
Check out this cloudbuster I made in Haiti during the Haiti earthquake.
And basically I'm going to point it and race.
Bless up Electroculture family. Super excited to share this antenna with you guys.
Hi guys, here's my latest cloudbuster stroke chembuster.
This is a very simple setup. This is a piece of rebar with a copper pipe, and what I do is I pour water in the copper pipe. I let it pool right here, and what you're going to notice is above me, completely clear. That's the magic of a cloudbuster.
Yes, that is where we're going today. We're going to be looking at a group of people that are known by some as cloudbusters, by others as weather wizards, and by others as just utter morons. I mean, imbeciles. But that's only by some, obviously not by me. And it all started with this guy on screen now, Wilhelm Reich. Now, Wilhelm Reich in the 1930s came up with something he called orgone energy. It's basically like the life force from Star Wars. Now, of course, it doesn't exist and it never existed, but that doesn't stop people claiming that they can harness this orgone energy through the use of something called orgonite, which is basically resin with a load of junk, minerals and metals stuck in the middle of it. So if you're silly enough to believe in this pseudo-science, what you can do is you can buy some orgonite, you can stick it in a bucket with some copper pipes, and then you can appear on the Richard Vobes YouTube channel and tell the world that you now know how to get rid of clouds in the sky.
January and February so far this year have been overwhelmed with cloud, and what we need is technology that will disperse that cloud and let the sun through.
And then in all seriousness, when you're on such a large platform as Richard's, you can bring out your bucket with some copper pipes in it and tell him that it is some new magnificent technology.
And it looks to me, because I've plumbed in my heating system some time ago, as if they are copper pipes.
That's correct. So round one to you, these are copper pipes.
That's right, nothing gets past Richard. Now, I don't think I need to tell you that when you're in control of an orgonite-powered set of pipes stuck in a bucket, safety has to be your number one priority. Now, in the Ghostbusters, you weren't allowed to cross the streams, but in the Cloudbusters, you're not allowed to point a copper pipe at a nuclear power station.
I'd like to go over some of the things you should not do, the don'ts of the Cloudbuster.
Okay.
Don't use it, don't directly point it at a nuclear plant or something. Don't use it if you're nearest to...
Hang on a minute, I just how many people would even be able to point it at a nuclear plant? They might do, I suppose.
Well, not many, of course. Just for a reference, do not use it nearest to a power plant, particularly Chernobyl or Fukushima.
Yes.
And it is good advice, don't point your copper pipes at Chernobyl or Fukushima. Not because anything bad will happen, it's just because people around you will be saying, why is this idiot pointing a copper pipe at Chernobyl or Fukushima? Still, what you're waiting for is the evidence that this cloudbuster works. And we have it on camera right here.
Is this in real time?
Yeah, this is a time lapse. So I tried pointing at ordinary clouds, got no result whatsoever. And this, you see that clear as day?
Yes.
You got the chemtrail at this chemtrail part here is still there. The bit that's younger was still there, but because the cloudbuster was being pointed at the newer part died quicker than its predecessor.
And to me, that seems pretty conclusive. It's all the evidence we need to be absolutely assured that orgonite copper pipes stuck in the bucket are going to make contrails disperse, because there is no other logical explanation of why a contrail would disperse in the sky other than through the use of these orgonite-powered copper pipes. I am, of course, joking. Now, I do have a friend, this is full disclosure, I do have a friend in real life that buys into all this orgonite-powered copper pipe nonsense. And he would genuinely be upset if he thought I was kind of like making fun of something that he takes so seriously. However, he doesn't tend to watch my videos, so fuck him. Anyway, what we really need to know is how scientifically can we explain how this cloudbuster works? And again, here's the answer.
So what we get in the case of the cloudbuster is in the lowest core, you'd have energy that comes in similar to how the organometer works. So it's the same two-way mirror principle. Energy comes in a negative form. Once inside, it's exposed to quartz crystals, which convert the energy. And then because that's been changed, it's then projected outwards from the cloudbuster into the sky. You know, it wants to come in when it's in negative mode, but in doing so, it gets turned positive and eventually volleyed.
So I hope that clears that up. But I have an alternative explanation for how these cloudbusters work. And my explanation is you put one in the ground and then you just wait for the clouds to disappear anyway, maybe an hour, 2 hours, and then claim that your cloudbuster did it. Like this guy.
Alrighty folks, here is my organite cloudbuster here. As you can see, I've buried it, all the base of it. It's all buried there and it's earthed at the moment, so we're going to spray it with water now and then see what happens. Usually you should give it about an hour for it to get working. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, here are the results. Roughly counting, it's been like 2 hours since I sprayed it. Like an hour and a half, 2 hours total. And see for yourself. Absolutely nothing.
Now, the beautiful thing about just waiting for the clouds to disappear on their own is you don't have to put a cloudbuster in the ground and wait. You can do anything and just wait and then claim that the clouds moving are down to what you've done. For example, this guy is using something that, well, I certainly didn't predict.
White vinegar. Distilled white vinegar. He said heat it up so it becomes a vapor and see what happens and bring back your blue skies.
Of course, why go to all the expense of buying copper pipes when you can do it more cheaply by just sticking some vinegar in your garden? Now, this guy is quite an interesting bloke. There's maybe one or two things you should know about him, starting here.
Yeah, I am very woo-woo, if you like, and out there with the fairies a little bit.
You are.
We have to also, thanks for your honesty.
That's all right. You know.
That was a bit brutal. Richard, honesty isn't always the best policy with your guests. Anyway, the second thing you've got to know about this man is he is genuinely an expert researcher.
You know, my question was, how do I actually, I'm here and I can put all the will in the world and I understand that collectively we can change the outcomes of things and we can change weather patterns. We can, definitely. We know that from the study that was done in Washington, D.C. about changing the violent crime rate. We know it can be done. Yeah.
And what, that was through prayer and things like that? Through spiritual stuff. Right, okay. And there's scientific proof to show that.
And the study he's referring to looked at something called the Maharishi effect, and it involved people meditating in Washington in July 1993, and they tried to see whether that had any kind of effect on the local crime rate. Now, at the time, it was reported that there was a statistically significant drop in violent crime during that period of meditation. But that has since been debunked by people like James Randi, who have thoroughly shown that the data that was used was just cherry-picked and the whole thing was just pseudo-scientific garbage, as you might expect. But our friend here, he's a believer.
Because they studied everything. They studied the economy, the weather, everything, just to see if there was any fluctuation for that violent crime rate to drop, because it had never dropped in history before.
Right.
And they couldn't find anything. So they just put it down to one of those things. But the interesting thing is when everyone went back to their countries, because they came from all over the world, when they all went back to their own countries again afterwards, that violent crime rate rose back to that percentage and it has never dropped since.
Wow. And you know what? He would be right there if he wasn't so unbelievably wrong. In fact, in less time than it takes to stick a bowl of white vinegar in your garden, you can Google the Washington crime rates from 1960 to 2019, and we can see that violent crime per 100,000 people has decreased pretty much year on year since 1993. And the final thing we need to know about this guy is he is incredibly observant, and he can point out things that just don't look right.
This is the sort of thing we're talking about. There we go. Look at that. I mean, that is not normal, is it? That is unusual.
And I absolutely have to agree. I have never seen a plane that looks like that before in my entire life. Anyway, if you're interested in following his method on how you can use white vinegar to get rid of clouds, then we can see him explain that clearly here. And we'll also learn the difference between boiling and evaporating and where heat comes from. It's quite the It's quite the extensive set of instructions.
So I went to Pets at Home. I bought a cheap little dog bowl, and I bought a bucket from the pound store, a metal one. I put some candles in there, and I'm thinking, who knows, right? So I did that. The heat then creates the bowl to get hot, which actually starts to create evaporation in the white vinegar.
So does it need to boil to evaporate?
No, it just needs to create heat, and that heat itself will start evaporating the vinegar.
So if you didn't know how to evaporate your own white vinegar beforehand, I know it's very, very technical, you have your list of instructions there. I'm not entirely convinced the trip to Pets at Home is absolutely necessary, but I wouldn't deviate from his method because, then obviously it wouldn't work. Anyway, time for the results.
That was the morning prior. So when you saw that grey skies, that was what was there, and then I hit the stuff up and it cleared it, and that's what you saw afterwards was the blue sky. Everything's starting to clear.
Oh, okay.
So there we have it. I can't think of any other explanation why the amount of clouds in the sky in the afternoon will be different to the amount of clouds in the sky in the morning. The only thing I can think of is down to his use of evaporated white vinegar, obviously. Let's look at some comments. And our first comment is from Robert Mrozek, YX7BM. He says that since he's listened to this conversation, he's been looking up to the sky a little bit more, but today he didn't want to look as it was literally scary. Now, I must admit that comment got me a little bit worried, so I tracked down Robert for a little bit more detail. And he was absolutely right. He showed me this photograph he took, and the sky was absolutely petrifying. Gjorgosel UJ6J6 wins a participation trophy for this post. He says you can also use soda bicarbonate for brushing the teeth. Now, this has got absolutely nothing to do with the video that he was watching, but still, it's nice to join in the conversation. Colette Kavanagh Official tells us that she bought orgonite pendants for her family and her husband, who wears it all the time. He went on a company outing to laser tag, and the guys just couldn't set him up at all. Apparently, the orgonite pendant was interfering with the Wi-Fi or the headsets. Wow, orgonite really is the gift that keeps on giving. This guy believes in homemade weather modification so much, he believes that there's a company out there that guarantees a rain-free wedding day for $100,000. Now, to be honest, I think I could guarantee a rain-free wedding day for $100,000 if you just have your wedding inside. This guy here wants to know how to build one of those copper pipe cloud busters. Now, all I can say to you, sir, is unfortunately, if you don't already know how to put some copper pipes inside a bucket, I don't think anything I can say will help you at all. Catz 2222 has been using white vinegar to bust the clouds. She boiled some up, put it in her garden, and all she had to do then was wait 2 hours for the clouds to clear themselves naturally. And finally, Disco Dave 2733 has got his holidays planned. He's going to go to the Sarson's Vinegar Factory to get himself a suntan. Well, good luck, Disco Dave. We're all rooting for you. So there we go, we learn something new every day, and in this video we've learned don't take a copper pipe and point it at a nuclear power station. That's very important. And if you're playing laser tag, make sure the opposing team aren't wearing orgonite pendants, because that will be obviously cheating. Now, that is the extent of my knowledge, but there is somebody out there, a legend, that knows all about this stuff. His channel is linked in the description, and it is absolutely imperative that you go and check it out and subscribe to him. And also subscribe to me if you made it this far. His name is the Conspiracist. He's absolutely brilliant, and he's here to tell us all about vinegar and the clouds.
So March is here, which means spring is here in the UK. And people keep saying to me, Brian, it's chemtrail season. What are you going to do? How do you stay so healthy? And I'm like, well, I've got special knowledge. You know that anyway. But what you didn't know is I've got my own tricks. You know, I make my own concoctions. Like I've found a solution, and it basically involves what I call dechemtrailizing fluid. Yeah, it involves a little bit of science, but you know, as you know, I can do science experiments and stuff like that. Like I had to buy this device and get some what you call vinegar, but obviously I call it chemtrailizing solution. It's pretty handy that this vital ingredient is actually available at like Tesco's, Lidl, Aldi, and most places really. The device I have seen in other people's houses, but I'm not sure everyone's going to have one. Let me just, we've got to go over here. I'm going to take the camera with me because I haven't got anyone else filming today. Yeah, I call it, as far as I know, this is the name for it, it's a water boiling device. Yeah, I've seen them in other people's houses, so I'm not the only one, but probably one of the lucky ones. We get the vinegar, we put that with the lid off, we put that so it's all gone in the water boiling device. So you can see, yeah, give that a boil. Turn it on, give it a boil. I should probably cut now and then come back to this. Hang on. Right, it has just boiled. We'll get one of these like bowls. Fortunately, vinegar and this solution, the dechemicalizing solution, they act just like water, and you know water always. So put that in there. You can already see the sort of vapours coming off it. And I find starting my morning like this, with a nice bowl of boiled vinegar, it's a great way to stay healthy. Really clears out the government super weapon that they spray the skies with every morning.